And we're glad everybody came out tonight because it's a matter of utmost importance to people, especially the fact that there has to be bus service from Roxborough, Manayunk, and or in the center city. And the other fact is that in Philadelphia, SEPTA is our school buses. And kids have to get to and from school. And I see by the turnout, this is a important decision for everybody. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dan and Bethany, and hopefully we get everybody in. And let me see if I can find the councilman and bring him in. All right. And if they don't give us what we want, then we'll deal with it.
Let me answer
How much are you
questions.
being paid?
I wrote SEPTA tonight. I do write SEPTA sometimes. It's not about me, right? So I want to answer some of the questions, but we've also looked at the COVID data and how ridership changed during the COVID period, including up to now. And some of the things that we noticed was that SEPTA's bus service right now is very much oriented around sort of a traditional 9-to-5 type of commute. And a lot of the people that stayed on the bus during COVID were people, essential workers, people that didn't work 9 to 5, that worked on Saturdays and Sundays and into the evenings. And so because we don't have any more resources, some of the things that we're trying to do is spread the service around. So there is more service on Saturdays, there is more service on Sundays. People who need to get to the jobs in retails, in hospitals, in supermarkets, and all the places that a lot of those people really depend on the service. And we're trying to make sure that it is accessible to more people at more times. And so one of the strategies behind this network is to have fewer routes, but operate those routes more frequently. Well, so we're still designing the network. It's not complete. It's a work in progress.
Seriously? And then we get told through the grapevine, not major news network. I mean, I hear everything on the major news. I hear every shooting, every carjacking, every fire, everything. I didn't hear anything about this on the news, okay? So that's crazy to me that this wouldn't be front and center first 5 minutes, okay? But we go down to the zoning board, we fight this, we spend tons of money civic associations don't have from donations from our citizens to be told driving is a thing of the past, development is taking over, you're going to take priority to go to school, they're not getting home till 9 o'clock at night. And you want to make them transfer and reduce the busing that's up here for them to get to school directly? This is insane to me. So I think you need to get together with the city. Y'all need to figure out, are we taking public transportation, in which case the Northwest section needs more, not less service? Or are we stopping development? Are we decreasing the bus service? And are we telling the middle-aged people, take your car to Center City and pay $30 a day to park? Exactly. Because you can't have it both ways. And I'll tell you right now, my kid is not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to school and coming home at 10 o'clock in the night. So you guys got to figure out something, and it's got to be more than just your bottom line. It's got to be the safety of the elderly that are having trouble getting to their doctor's appointments. It's got to be the safety of the children. Make this safer to drive on, or tell us we need to rely on public transportation and then not take it away.
Two things. Two observations and one suggestion. Spinning wheels here tonight, which is a shame. We shouldn't have to do that. This plan is DOA. Forget it.
Yes, right.
DOA, okay? So why don't we do this with the blessing of Councilman Jones and Mr. Rager, form a working committee, live, not online, older folks, young folks, students, whatever else. Form a working committee to work with you folks who are obviously outsiders, don't know the neighborhood, and don't know our patterns and what we do here. You don't know. So I suggest that Councilman Jones can lead the way here, okay? Form a working committee, maybe 10, 20, 30 folks, who knows? Of all stripes, to get with you, to show you what you're doing wrong, and bring you into the culture of the neighborhood.
According to you, this is not about money. So since it's not about money, I suggest you trash the whole thing and leave it the way it is.
Have you spoken to either the school district or
any of the colleges and universities? What have they said? No. Really? Because none of the schools knew. I can tell you right now, none of the schools know. They don't.
I actually work at Roman Catholic. And
Hold on, we got a gentleman from Roman Catholic High School.
I've been working at Roman the last 20 years, and I've not heard a word at all about this. I heard on Facebook, one was it. I have not heard one word. And actually, I'm in charge of transportation here.
At my Girl Scout troop meeting, I asked two girls who are in high school how they get to school, and they're on SEPTA. And I said, are you coming to the Revolution meeting? They never heard of any of this stuff. It has to be discussed with those people who are going to school. It's going to affect them. Okay,
to address the concerns, there has to be better communication to the Girl Scouts, to people all over Philadelphia that are affected by these lines. I mean, the communication is bad, and it really is your responsibility, or where you come from. You have to communicate with us and give us not just, oh, it's on the website, go there, let's figure it out. I mean, that's putting the burden and the responsibility on us, and that's not fair.
North Philly, that's in South Philly. I think general awareness is not where it needs to be, but.
I've been living out here all my life. I remember when the bus was Z-Bus, A local and A express. So this is no new thing out here. I think that they really need to remove it. It's bad enough that the children are out on the corner, like one of the young ladies said. It's dark in the winter time and in the fall and stuff like that. They're going, it's dark and it's early. They're going, it's dark. Coming home, it's dark. And it's ridiculous. They don't need no change at all with neither buses.
But other countries have done this with all this on demand, and there's articles that says it doesn't work because at the end of the day, people prefer the fixed routes, and the people prefer the routes the way they were. And instead of getting better, they get worse.
Yeah.
So then we need to stop this now and just make sure that everybody tells SEPTA to actually rethink this system and make sure that there are other ways to bring riders into the buses instead of changing something that is working.
Yeah, so I just wanted, there are a bunch of people that weren't able to make it in, so I'm going to do a couple more questions, but then we're going to try to figure out a way to rejigger the room. We're just going to, yeah.
No, we understand that. We're trying to figure out.
We're trying to figure out a way to get 2 virtual meetings earlier in the fall. We heard very clearly that the initial draft proposal was unacceptable. We reworked it. Quite a bit. We spent the last hour or so talking to some of you other folks who didn't like the reworked version either. But I'm going to go through the reworked proposal. I'll go slowly. I'll try to be clear. Feel free to raise your hand. It's a smaller crowd, so we can make it a little easier. But I do want to just note very quickly that this is the first time SEPTA's done a project like this before. We have a bus network that has largely been the same for decades, and we've never really even looked at our system comprehensively before. So we're really trying to get a network-wide perspective and make improvements that have improved, that are sort of system-wide improvements. So I'm going to go through the updated proposal. If you sat in on the last session, I apologize that you have to hear it again. But what we heard very clearly from the two virtual sessions was,
I'm glad that you're thinking about it, but this, as she says, is bringing us backwards with this cost neutral thing, where there's tons of money for the King of Prussia expansion, there's tons of money for regional rail. What about the bus riders? What about the people in the city who do want this? This is a public good, specificity. I know you've got this idea that you're just going to redesign everything from the ground up, maybe somehow like figure it out better. Well, there are histories to why there are routes, and there are histories.
You've heard from 24 people with great points. The point is, you got to go back to the drawing board. Don't just go back to try to change it, make it better. What we want is reliability, frequency, safety, cost. Go back to the drawing board, make it better, don't change it.
And thanks to the SEPTA team for coming out today. There's obviously a lot of passion for what the system provides here. But in the context of design effort, I think there's been some good comments about process. What opportunities are there for meaningful collaboration before the next iteration of this design on a more productive basis with the working group?
I think there was a gentleman who left, but he recommended sort of a smaller working group, which I think is a great idea. I'm happy to stick. I mean, we're not done yet, but we can talk. If people would like to participate, we can pass along your contact information. We can start a dialogue and we can figure something out.
Sure. So if some of the civics will reach out to you ahead of time, maybe we can start to develop that working group. I appreciate it. Another question is,
I think also to having a process where people can comment specifically on the changes, because I think from what we saw last time to what we're seeing now, you're making a little bit more like it was before, which most people are used to, and it's helpful because they plan their lives and their work around it. So I think for the changes, and hopefully you'll make changes based on what we discussed on tonight, I think moving forward, number one, it's going to be helpful to show to have a way for people in the community to specifically comment on those changes, like show what are the different changes are for the different routes, and what are the comments so you can actually know and list them. What are the concerns for that? And it may make you decide it's better actually the other way. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, or maybe it's not quite whatever. It may cost you a little bit more, but maybe you realize that that's why it works for this community. I think the other thing that's important too is that people in the community are feeling that they're not being heard, their concerns. Whether it's students, whether it's people with disabilities, whether it's our people who have English as a second language, that feel like they're not part of this process. And so I think moving forward, I'm glad this is not going to be implemented for another few years. We have some time, but I think moving forward, there needs to be a process where we need more people in the community to have a seat at the table, because right now, that's definitely not the case.
So I wanted to tell you, because I covered the meeting on Tuesday night in Roxborough, Manayunk, and it was very different than this meeting. First, it was a formal presentation. People were allowed to ask questions and got answers to the questions. The second thing is at that meeting, SEPTA acknowledged that their plan didn't work for the riders in the Northwest. And third, they made a formal commitment to meet with all the neighborhood groups and come up with a better plan.
We're going to make them do that.
So you have to ask the people who are running this whether they'll make the same commitment to South Philly, North Philly, West Philly,
yes,
and that they made in Roxborough and Manayunk.
Well, that's what we're here for tonight. Thank you.
So you have to make sure you find out who the project managers are, the people who are running this, and make it clear to them that with the same treatment that was given in the Northwest is given to all the riders.
Thank you.